Most customer success problems don't start in the ongoing CS motion. They actually start in onboarding. This might sound obvious, but most teams treat onboarding like a setup phase instead of what it really is, the moment where customer expectations are permanently set. In this video, I'm going to show you why onboarding quietly creates most of the frustration, escalation, and rework CS teams deal with later, and why fixing it early is the fastest way to make customer success feel manageable again. If your CSMs spend half their time undoing assumptions customers already have, this is probably why. Let's start with the mistake most teams make. They think onboarding is about getting customers live, configured, trained, launched. But customers aren't just learning how to use the product during onboarding, they're learning how the relationship works. They're learning how fast you respond, what gets escalated, what they can ask for, who does what, and how flexible normal is. None of this is usually written down. It's all inferred. So when onboarding includes unlimited calls, instant responses, custom work, and constant handholding, customers don't experience that as a temporary support. They experience this as the baseline, which means onboarding doesn't just set them up to use the product, it sets them up to expect a level of engagement that rarely survives scale. And that's where the trouble starts. Because once a customer internalizes, this is how it works, every future adjustment feels like a downgrade. Fewer calls feels like neglect. Routing something to support feels like deflection. Asking them to be more self-sufficient feels like abandonment. From the customer's perspective, the relationship's changed. From the company's perspective, it hasn't. That gap is where customer success spends the next year managing. And here's the part most teams miss. You don't fix this by doing onboarding better. You fix it by being intentional about what onboarding teaches beyond the product. Every onboarding decision sends a signal. When you say yes quickly, you're teaching urgency. When you jump in to clean things up, you're teaching dependency. When you handle edge cases quietly, you're teaching customers not to own them. None of those are wrong in isolation, but together they create customers who expect CS to be everywhere all the time. Which is why CS teams feel fine at 10 customers, stretched at 50, and underwater at scale. Onboarding is where those expectations become baked in. And once they're baked in, they're very hard to reverse. That's why the healthiest CS teams design onboarding with restraint. They don't optimize for speed alone, they optimize for clarity. They're explicit about what happens after onboarding, what support looks like, what CS owns, and what it doesn't, and how customers are expected to operate day to day. Not because they want to limit value, but because they want that value to be sustainable. Here's the reframe. Onboarding isn't about setting customers up for success. It's about setting the relationship up to scale. If you're onboarding right, customer success feels calm, predictable, and strategic. If you get it wrong, CS spends its time undoing expectations instead of driving outcomes, and no amount of heroics will fix that. In the next video, we'll talk about the hidden cost of over-servicing customers and why doing extra early almost always creates more work later. If this was useful, hit like so it reaches the people who need it. If you've seen onboarding create expectations your team is still paying for, leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear it. And if you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.